At the Diet of the Estates of Slavonia in 1515, Ban Peter Berislavić called for the estates to join the Croatian army in the defense of the fortress of Jajce, which had come under siege by Ottoman forces. The estates of Slavonia refused, saying their duty was only to defend their kingdom, and they were under no obligation to spill blood for anything or anyone across the Sava. The Ban turned to King Wladislav II and Pope Leo X for aid. The king sent reinforcements from Bohemia and a very sternly worded letter to the estates of Slavonia. The Pope sent money and supplies and letters across Europe, asking other European rulers to help defend Jajce at this crucial hour. Enough help did arrive to keep the defense of Jajce holding, but the Ottomans were piling on the pressure there and elsewhere. The defensive system was barely holding them back. Without urgent reform, it was a matter of time as to when King Matthias's dam of fortresses would break. Back in Buda, the political swing swung back in favor of the king and the pro-Habsburg factions. Janos Zapolja's reputation suffered after a military defeat to the Ottomans in Serbia in April of 1515. And Emperor Maximilian was also hard at work lobbying for support inside the realm of St. Stephen. Maximilian had recently received the financial backing of the increasingly wealthy Fugger mining family, whose ascent began in the 1480s with the favor of the Habsburgs. So of course the Fuggers believed that Maximilian would be better suited to defend Europe against the Ottomans. They also owned parts of copper and silver mines in the realms of St. Stephen and Bohemia. The new political situation allowed King Wladislav to proceed with another reaffirmation of the Habsburg alliance, but this time involving the entire Jagiellon clan. King Vladislav II of Bohemia, Hungary and Croatia, Emperor Maximilian I of the Holy Roman Empire, and King Sigismund I of Poland-Lithuania met for talks in Vienna in mid-1515. Maximilian agreed to break his alliance with Grand Duke Vasily III of Moscow and Grand Master Albert of the Teutonic Order, who were threats to Poland-Lithuania. Sigismund agreed to stop supporting the anti-Habsburg factions in Vladislav's realm, and agreed to honor the Habsburg succession agreements. And Vladislav agreed to a double marriage between the Habsburgs and the Jagiellons. With everyone in agreement, a treaty was signed on the 19th of July 1515. It of course restated the previous succession agreements that Maximilian or his heirs would inherit the realms of St. Stephen and Bohemia if Vladislav or his male heirs were to die out. The new dynastic alliance was sealed on the 22nd of July, with the marriages of Vladislav's children Anna and Louis to Maximilian's grandchildren Ferdinand and Mary. This double marriage was insurance of a continual alliance should one of the marriages come to an untimely end. But it was also a gamble, and a similar sort of gamble made 2 decades prior had paid off for Maximilian more than he could have ever imagined at the time. In 1496, to ensure an alliance against France, Maximilian and King Ferdinand of Aragon and Queen Isabella of Castile agreed to a double marriage between their children. Ferdinand and Isabella's second daughter, Joanna la Loca, was married to Maximilian's son and heir, Duke Philip the Handsome of Burgundy, while Ferdinand and Isabella's son and heir, Prince Juan of Asturias, was to marry Maximilian's daughter, Margaret. Since both Maximilian and Ferdinand and Isabella had only one legitimate son, the double marriage was not only a possible lasting generational alliance, but a potential dynastic inheritance problem and opportunity. Maximilian was in a far more unfavorable position when these marriages were agreed to. Philip and Margaret were his only legitimate children. If Philip died before having an heir of his own, Margaret would be the inheritrix, and Prince Juan and his heirs would be set to inherit the Habsburg lands, almost wiping the Habsburg dynasty off the European stage. If on the other hand Prince Juan were to die, His elder sister Isabella of Aragon, Queen Consort of Portugal, would become heiress to Castile, the lands of the Crown of Aragon, and all their possessions in the New World, and any of her children would effectively unite the Iberian Peninsula and bring all of the Spanish and Portuguese overseas possessions under one crown. But the Habsburg possessions would stay with Philip and Joanna. After the marriages were made, Habsburg luck struck. Prince Juan of Asturias died in late 1497, allegedly because Margaret loved him too much. But others say the cause of death was actually tuberculosis or smallpox. A year later, 1498, Isabella of Portugal died soon after giving birth to a son, Miguel, and then Prince Miguel died in 1500. The same year, Philip and Joanna had a son, Charles. Joanna inherited the crown of Castile in 1504, after the death of Queen Isabella of Castile, and Philip became king through the right of his wife. Philip did die in 1506, driving Joanna further into her alleged madness. But the couple had done their duty. Along with Charles, they had Ferdinand, and 4 daughters, Eleanor, Isabella, Mary, and Catherine the Posthumous. To attempt to avert a complete loss of his dynasty to the Habsburgs, King Ferdinand of Aragon remarried to Germaine of Foix. They had only one son in 1509, but the baby John died within a few hours of his birth. Despite their best efforts, they had no other children. This means that at this point in 1515, the young Prince of Asturias, Charles von Habsburg of Ghent, was heir to the combined realms of Spain, Castile, Leon, Aragon, etc., Naples, Sicily, Sardinia, etc., Burgundy, the Low Countries, Upper and Lower Austria, Tyrol, Styria, Carinthia, Carniola, possibly the Empire, and the expanding Spanish possessions in the New World. And with Charles set to inherit the motherlode, I wouldn't put it past Maximilian that he now deliberately made the same gamble, but this time with better odds. Some of you may be wondering what happened to that brewing civil war in Bohemia. Well, long story short, in 1513 the cities formed a league to oppose the nobility's land ordinance by force if necessary, resulting in a tense stalemate between the opposing sides. King Wladislav intervened in 1515, and a negotiation process began until it reached a compromise agreement in 1517, known as St. Václav's Agreement. The nobility recognized separate urban judicial procedures, the cities recognized noble commercial practices, noble-owned towns removed restrictions on their markets, and the cities gave the nobility the rights to produce beer for 6 years. The nobility did not give it up when the date came. In February of 1516, Pope Leo X sent a letter to Buda, saying that King Vladislav should not make any peace with the Ottomans, for the new King of France, Francis I, decided to join the war. Whether or not this would have turned out to be true, any potential war plans were soon set aside. Because Vladislav II Jagiellon, King of Bohemia, Hungary, Dalmatia, Croatia, Slavonia, Rama, Serbia, Galicia, Lodomeria, Cumania, and Bulgaria, Prince of Silesia and Luxembourg, Margrave of Moravia and of Upper and Lower Lusatia, died on the 13th of March, 1516. He was succeeded by his already crowned 10-year-old son, King Louis II. It is said that during the period of Vladislav's rule, and 10 years following his death, more acts were passed by the Diet of the Realm of St. Stephen than had been in the 500 years before. Vladislav II was by and large a constitution-abiding monarch. One might call him a constitutional monarch, to coin a phrase. His reign saw developments of constitutionalism, parliamentarianism, proto-nationalism. It saw changes to the estate-based economic barriers. It saw the breakdown in the social contract and the institutionalization of serfdom. It saw the emergence of a new geopolitical order in Europe and the discovery of a new world, and the beginning of a new age. In the realm of Bohemia, these political and economic developments almost caused the second civil war in a century, had not cooler heads prevailed. While in the realm of St. Stephen, Vladislav's reign saw a particularist, reactionary, ideologically driven model of idealized, decentralized, medieval feudal government direct the realm towards economic, social, and military collapse in the face of an existential threat.